Hello, 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 everyone. Mike Arnold here, co-founder, Pat Trading Partners, along with Bob Iacchino. Might be a little lighter crowd this morning. Looks like I'm having YouTube problems here. I actually can't even edit the video or put up a thumbnail or anything else. So let's see how this goes. Good morning, Davey. Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, Sashi. Good morning, George. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Again, separate from the problems, if you are new here, please do consider subscribing, ringing that bell, and hitting the like button. Longer term subscribers, please leave some comments and come back to like the video. We are going to try to, at some point, hit that 10K now that we've got 5K in the bag. So I appreciate everybody leaving a comment and helping this video get out to a wider circulating audience. Good morning, Andrea. Good morning, Connor. Good morning, Ramsafal. So let's get. I saw your question. I'll answer it real quick in here, Ramsafal. So about the percent B indicator. By the way, we had durable goods. Mortgage stuff is just in the housing is sort of in the garbage, so we don't have to. And the market's not trading off of it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Durable goods coming in, pretty significant miss, coming in at 0. X transports a slight beat. So the headline numbers miss. X transport slight beat. So that's it. Then we have pending home sales. For oil traders, you got the EIA numbers coming out. And then we got Jackson Hole starting this evening after the close. So besides the EIA numbers and pending sales, and EIA is oil related. So pending home sales, which I don't think the market's going to move much off. We're done for today based off those durable good orders. Good morning, Anissa. So that's pretty much out of the way. And I don't know if any other Fed speaks today. So it would just be a scrolling headline or something else. A pretty mixed market this morning. Nothing into it had earnings this morning. So they're up pretty substantially. Everything else is mixed. FOMC 56% to 43%. So this just keeps oscillating back and forth. Market can't decide. Should we target the 75 basis or the 50 basis? Still in negative gamma territory. Remember, the flip is 42.15. As I just said, Intuit was yesterday after. Sorry, it was after the close. This morning was nothing. I didn't even look at Petco yet, but tomorrow was nothing I was looking at. If anybody wants me to peek at something, there's just not much. Now, after the close, we got some stuff going on, especially NVIDIA. Salesforce are the biggies. NetApp more minor. Autodesk, Snowflake, Box. I'm going to check in on Williams Sonoma for the higher end retailer and inflation related stuff. So do keep an eye on that after the close going into Jackson Hole. Where do we sit right now? I got to finish saying good morning. Good morning, Options 22. Good morning, Josh. Good morning, Lauren. Pan W looks interesting. Remind me after we get through some things. Right now, yes, it's still on the higher time frame. This 4-hour time frame is we have a potential double within a double. So you have the bigger double, which wouldn't trigger until 41.61.75, which I'd need to close above, at least on the 4 or 1 hour time frame. And then we had this mini double this morning. Very mini. You can see it here, which already triggered back at 3:45 a.m. Chicago time in the European session and hit the first target, but it gave plenty of opportunities to get in even early this morning and already hit the first target. So on continued moves, those are the targets I'm using on a continued push up in the open. 41.41.25, which we already hit, is the first target. I will revisit 41.46, 41.50. Yes, this is a sort of a sloppy flag pattern, but this is a challenge with the breakdown areas. There are multiple support points at this point. And a more major one, I'm going to bump this up just a hair. But my major one is about 41.25. So that's the first key area. Breakdown below that, still using about 41.17. Then this 41.14 to 41.12. So there's no clear move to downside unless we get major momentum. I'm actually leaning for more so for the upside. Why am I leaning for the upside? Because we still have 4-hour cycles trying to get to the top, daily cycles trying to turn up, and weekly cycles turning down, which is the overall driving force. But when you got the shorter term cycles moving up, we could get a slightly choppier to the upside move, especially with major things out of the way. And on a sell, I would have to be really nimble going into the multiple stopping points. Now, that being said, if we do start getting some downward pressure and break below these European lows, 4110 area, then I will start watching for a pushback to that 4100 to 4093. And you see here, the major clear path where we start getting into the next area without a lot of stopping points starts getting below about this 4085, 4087 area into here. So until we get into that area, I can't get super aggressive with bigger target shorts. Everything would be smaller target shorts. And we've already had that little mini double trigger. I'm not as hopeful on the bigger double just yet because we're still against the rotation zones, at least on the 4-hour and the daily hooking over. But if it does trigger, that would give us a room back into a clear path move for a little quicker pop higher. By the way, to address your question, Ramsfall, about the percent B indicators. If you just go to here and hit percent B, where's my percent? Percent B, it's right here. Bollinger Bands percent B. That's what it is. That's how you add it to your chart. NASDAQ, pretty much double within the double also. NASDAQ did not hit the first targets. Again, we do have a flag pattern. It's a little sloppy, but that's the only thing. But there's, again, multiple stopping points. 12,878, 12,861, and then your major support I'll be watching if we do break down is about 12,841 to about 12,830. We break below that. Let me just get the downside out of the way. Remember, we have to analyze. Well, we don't have to, but it's advisable to analyze both sides of the market, especially in these conditions, and don't have a longer term pausing bar, so I have to use the shorter term one. So really, if we start breaking below 12,800, which is the daily 50 EMA, and we still technically have a minor little squeak gap fill, but that's right at the 37.5. So we start getting below 12,800. I'm targeting 12,738 to 12,708. And then my next major target is 12,590 to 12,600. To the upside, that's easier because we have a little shorter term pattern triggered. 12,945, 12,693, 12,982. And then you have the bigger pattern. Close, it have to be at least a 1 or 4 hour above 1318, 13,116, 13,164, 75, 13,2, 13,50, and it is into a clear path. So if I have to favor something because we have a little mini double and we are at the bottom with the daily cycles, even though we're at the top with the weekly, I'm really going to get aggressive to the short side once we get to the weekly, once we get top again, daily and weekly. But for right now, we could see a little pop at least into Jackson Hole if this key lows from yesterday and so far European session hold. Morning, Chris. Classes in session. Exactly. Pay attention. I have no idea why Peloton's ripping. It's probably something just came across. It's had to be just recently because Peloton earnings are tomorrow morning. Who knows? I mean, they're still in a world of hurt. I love the product, but horribly mismanaged business. Hopefully they'll be able to turn it around. Dow. I don't need to really cover all this in depth, but you do have your little mini double. I'll put that on here. And by the way, we're using conservative targets. And why am I using this as a peak instead of this? This is where you have to drop to the lower time frame. It's technically this is the peak. You have to vet it on the lower time frame. And then why is that the peak? Because it was triggered right here. So this is not, this confirmed it, this triggered it. So if you want to fine tune your peaks, that's how you do it. You go to the lower time frame. And there's your target, 32,966, 32,998, 33.30. To the downside, I'm going to bump this down a little. My major support coming in about 12,972 to 12,800. Same difference there, trading against the weekly rotation zone. And watch for a little pop. I'm watching for these pop plays and then the next rollover play. Russell. We don't need to cover this in depth. Focus on if Russell, if it breaks below this 915 level, I'm going to be targeting this 887 with the rising 50. If we break up, my major targets again 1940. DAX trying to put in a bottom. We'll take a look more at the DAX. If it puts in this bottom formation, that will be an interesting for a little quick pop buy. Notes still headed down. 117.05, the next key support. So it's hands off on the notes. It's a little tight shorts here, so it's pretty much hands off. Crude came up, kissed the 200 again. That was the next target I talked about yesterday. Slight little pause there. So we remember we got the EIA numbers coming out. Now, if we break back above that 200, I'm watching for a quick little move to this 96.50 to 97 area is the next target. So this was definitely a stop raise area from some longs down below. Remember, we still got weekly cycles trying to top. We have tapped the weekly rotation zone, but another push higher would take us into the weekly rotation zone, and then I'd start watching for a more substantial rotation lower. The key support, the minor levels is 93.30 area. More major on a pullback would be 91 if we do get a pullback with those EIA numbers. Dollar index, little pause. We do have a little potential double still coming up to the rotation zone. So this is just something not triggered or confirmed yet. So it doesn't have to. This is not bearish yet. I keep getting those questions. People think because I put something on a chart, it means it has to happen. No, it's a potentiality. It would need a trade below this low, 107.99, 107.38, 107.08, 106.55. That's a potential. I'm watching for the potential break higher with the coming out of the 4-hour rotation zone. Now, if you want the tight targets, you use the reverse harmonics. The more major one that I'm keying off is this 109.73. Euro. By the way, Euro potential double bottom. Again, does not it have to trigger before it's valid? The trigger would be on a trade above 100.186. The confirmation would be there. A trigger would be a close above that. I'd at least need a 1 or 4 hour or daily close above there. 100.75, 100 or 101, and then 101.23. We've traded off this first key harmonic, but if we break below this 99 again, next target is 98.50. Let's peek in on the VIX. The only thing I'm watching for a slightly more bullish move is if this potential double top triggers. Can't spot it properly on the lower time frames here. Here it is on the daily. But that would need at least a 4-hour close below 23.07, and then 22.26. 2194, 2152. If we start breaking down, that would probably mean we also triggered that bigger double, which would support that then. Other than that, we start getting momentum above about 2470. Watching for those choppy lows still to not be put in. Bitcoin, talked about this yesterday. Very solid horizontal channel at this point. You start getting a break above this 21,525, 21,6,860, 22,031, 22,200 into a clear path. A little correction pattern coming out of this little bounce. I'd really be focused on this 21,860 area going into a weekly rotation zone with, daily rotation zone with weekly cycles still coming down in daily cycles, trying to get to a top and roll over. So this would be a short-term pop corrective move. Tesla, again, slight gap up this morning. If it does rally, I'm watching for the gap fill 290,861. There's still a lot of resistance in here, and that double is not invalidated until we get a close above 904.27 on a daily basis or a trade through 917.52, and that or a sorry, not a close, a trade through 917.52, and this double has not triggered yet. And it's still holding the daily rotation zone. So I'm really watching for this key gap fill close in there. Let me get to the Qs first. Qs, your major support, still 311.40 area. Trading 313 pre-market. I'm going to be watching on any rally. I'm watching for that short-term gap fill with that doubles already triggered. That would be to yesterday's close, 314.10. And then we break above there. We don't have any great patterns on the Qs. So I'm watching if we get above 315.50. I'm watching for a return to the other side of the 1 hour rotation zone. 317.30 to about 317.80. But watch, this is why I say watch the futures, because if you get those doubles, hitting those targets on the futures, you can fine tune those movements on the Qs. Spiders, it's going to be, we're slightly down again for the first little target. We gap fill 411.34 is the support. We break above that 409.60 is my next support. My breakout zone is about 413.40. We break above there. I'm watching this 414 to 414.30 and then 415 levels. Let's see, we got PANW. Oh, Palo Alto, that's right. Palo Alto Alpha earnings a gap up. Pretty substantial gap up. Let's see if it closes above the 62.5. Today trading against this key level. You have this key prior support becoming resistance right above there. If it does break above there, your next target's 586. Again, you can't do the gap fill play until below 552.39. Daily cycles, interesting enough, are still trying to rotate up, and weekly cycles aren't at the top yet. So this could see a little farther run to the upside. I would not be shorting this unless I got a substantial topping pattern. Yet. I would not be shorting a breakdown play. It could easily run higher. Easily run higher. Even on a pullback to your 1 hour rotation zone, I need this to put in. That's not a well-formed double, by the way. I had actually, there might be a little short. If NASDAQ breaks down the open, there could be a quick play back to some of these rotation zones. But you don't have a clear path in here. So, I'd be on a pullback, be watching about 564 area. Wouldn't be my primary play for a short, though. Yeah, they're splitting on September 14th. So, again, that could lead to some more upside pressure because, the people who play that with stock splits. Again, Lauren, I would wait for a more substantial topping pattern or the breakdown below today's low. I mean, if you want to be aggressive, I'd need at least a substantial topping pattern on a 1 or 4 hour basis coming into this. It's slight down on the pre-market, but you know what? It'll be interesting, especially if that NASDAQ does try to run higher today. Snow. I mean, they got earnings, as we already talked about. This is, I mean, the target's on a gap up in earnings. This is not it's already completed its double play. So at this point, gap up 170 and then 184 areas. Gap down, I'd sort of be more focused on a potential gap down play, 146.50, and then your key support 130. Other than that, there's no great pattern on it. It's in consolidation, so it would be this would be a post earnings play for me. I don't have any earnings stuff on that. BBBY is going to keep getting played until they go through reorganization. Watch the unsecured debt if you want to know that. Otherwise, it's just getting played as a stupid meme. NVIDIA. Again, NVIDIA earnings after. You do have the potential double top here. That's what I'd be watching for. On a move up, I mean, we don't already have a triggered pattern. So unless that double triggers today, it would just be a post earnings trigger. To the upside, you have the gap. And then that's where I'd use the harmonics as a target above that gap fill, which would be 178.49. I'd be using 186, but overall, I'm still bearish on the semis. See, we return to the weekly rotation zone and trying to rotate lower, and you have a potential double top. And overall, the SMH is still, we are still in long-term bearish mode. So if I had to take a bet, it would be a bet to the downside. Weekly cycles rolling over, daily cycles at the bottom, but that's the only thing. And here's your targets: 155.04, 148.94, 142.84, which would be a retest of the lows. And really, I'm still overall longer term, and that doesn't have to be with this earnings report, but even if we gap up longer term, I'm still focused on this returning to the 200-week area. Yeah, I just saw that my longer term target, my first longer term target would be 125 to about 121. And then 115 and then 103, but I'd really focus on, at least because it could get a substantial bounce off this 125 area. Why is my shirt glowing? Probably because there's some green tint in the blue tie-dye, and it's probably reacting to that. It's glowing because the mic's a trippy dude. There you go. It's all the high-powered market analysis. By the way, do keep an eye on, for all those commodity players, URA, slight gap up. This is starting to get some accumulation pressure again. So keep an eye on this, because today a close above yesterday's high is a %B entry. So just keep an eye on this. If you are a uranium player trading around a core position, it could be due for another quick bump up. So I'm keeping an eye on that too. With that, we got 1 minute to the open. I gotta let me just peek at the S&P, and then I gotta jump. Let's see if there's anything fine tuning. No, just watch again this 41.25 in the S&P, and shorter term, if you don't have a position on to the bullish side, if you start getting above about 41.33, you are into an advanced clear path, mostly to the first target there again on the double. So that's what I'm keying off of, going straight in the open. With that, I will talk to you guys later. You're welcome, Anissa. Thank you, Ramsafal. I'll peek in on NVIDIA after the open. Thank you. Bye for now.